Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Kathy Hansen here. I'm one of General Pencil's artists. And I'm excited to be able to show you some basic drawing techniques today. Today is all about just relaxing and taking in the information and then experimenting yourself with it. We have two other people from General Pencil also at this workshop. They will be manning the chat room. One of them is Kirsten, who has all the answers for sales regarding General Pencil's products. And then Julia, who is another one of our artists, who is an amazing portrait artist. So we only have an hour, so I'm going to get rocking and rolling real fast. If they'll switch over to my overhead camera, sit back, relax, and see how much fun drawing is. Okay. I got all these little things in here, but that's okay on my big screen. First of all, drawing really is as easy as 1, 2, 3. First, you recognize the shape of the object. The trees we're going to be doing today are rectangles. So you loosely draw them in, and then you're going to turn around and then come back and refine those lines and erase the lines that you don't want. We are going to be creating all of our design today with just these 4 pencils, which is the Kimberly graphite pencils, the 525 BP kit. The 2H is a hard pencil, and notice we have really light lines with minimum pressure. It's going to give that width and value line. More pressure, you're going to get a darker, wider line. Then we go to HB. Again, see the transition, a little darker. And then the 2B. And then we're going to be using our 555 layout pencil when we want our dark darks. Okay. So first step is draw the shape and then refine it. And then we're going to just start slowly adding values. Values are what create form. So then we build a little more, then we start adding even more details, and then you get the finished product. Now I want you to notice, after I did this, I said, I think those rocks would have looked much more natural if they weren't like little tin soldiers. Don't you think that makes a difference, coming in all different angles? So I wanted to point that out right away. That's the beauty of erasers. You start doing something, you think you don't like it, take it out and approach it from a different direction, okay? There is more than one way to blend, you're going to find out. This is just drawing in the tree trunk with pencils. It's going to look a little more textured right off the bat. But you can use all kinds of art-related or even just household objects that are great blenders too. This was a makeup sponge. For this one, I used a cotton ball. Again, see, slightly different. This was my finger, little more textured. And this was with a blending stump or a tortillon, a little smoother. And this one down here, I just grated some pigment off the tip. You're going to see I'm going to do it in the class and blend it with a cotton ball. I wanted to point this out because one of the things that makes your art more interesting is if you have multiple objects, is approach them slightly different. Because look at right off the bat, look at all those tree trunks, just look a little bit different. That is going to give more interest, as well as we're going to build texture in some areas that draws the eye in. And you're going to notice anything you're approaching, even something as simple as grass, if you approach it with more than 1 degree pencil, do you see those little clumps of grass would be different widths, different lengths, different values. Again, it's little things like that that make your art more interesting. All right, I'm going to draw notice where my hand is too. I am not way up here, because if I draw with my finger close to the tip and tight, it is going to be very tight. If I put my hand back about where it says General Pencil, see how that line's looser? The further back I go, it's going to be lighter and looser. So you won't have to erase near as much if you think ahead of time, work further back from the tip. So I'm going to go about right where general pencil was, and I'm going to draw my first tree trunk. Now I know it's got to be a little wider at the bottom than at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to do my second one. We're going to have this little guy leaning. And this one's coming up from behind it. Now, this was a quick way of making everything a little different too. Fat, straight up, leaning, coming up from behind. Just looks much more natural than if we had 3 little tin soldiers right there. Now, I'm going to start out with my HB pencil. Look where I am. Now I'm way back where it says Kimberly. And I'm going to start putting some values in. Notice I'm leaving some of the white of the paper, because right off the bat, I'm going to have 2 values in this. And because it is a tree trunk, I also want it to look like it has a little bit of texture in this bark. Now you can start light like this because you can build as many values as you want, but I'm right off the bat, since I only have an hour, in a few spots, I'm going to even lay a little more pigment. Now, a tree trunk is round, so we have to think lightest in the middle. Then we're going to have some medium, some dark values, but believe it or not, the very edges, we're going to want a little lighter too. So it looks like it's starting to go around to the back side. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to use my finger to rub. Okay. I don't know if you can see the little bit of texture, because the paper has a little bit of texture to it. So it is giving me that little bit of texture. Now we're going to go over to this guy. What I forgot to tell you, I was so busy trying to jump in, is right out of the package. I don't know if you can tell, the tips are sharp. You have a pointed tip. Pointed tips are great for detail lines, precise lines. I'm working with a rounded tip right now, because a rounded tip is going to actually lay more pigment down on the paper. It's supposed to be fun and relaxing, guys, and that's what I'm doing right now. Fun, relaxing, leaving part of the white of the paper showing. Okay, this time I will blend with a cotton ball just to show you. It's going to pull up a little more pigment. See how this one looks a little lighter than the other one? Now, erasers, like I said, they all pick up different amounts of pigments. So I'm going to work with the ES20 on the first tree, and then I'm going to go the tri-tip with the second one, which is a little lighter. What's great about these, you can tell I've used the heck out of mine, is they are self-cleaning. So when you get a dirty edge you want to get rid of, you just roll that right off, and you've always got a clean eraser to work with. So I'm just going to randomly bring some lines in here. And I like taking a soft mop brush as opposed to my finger, because your finger can actually indent and push some of those particles in instead. Now for this one, I'm going to take my ES20 or my tri-tip, sorry, and erase with that just to make it a little different. See how they erase different amounts? Now I'm going to come in with my 2B and start adding some more values. Again, my hand is way back here. And I'm working around some of those erased marks. I'm not filling in everywhere, because I want some of this first value showing, as well as the white of the paper, as well as these darker ones that I'm bringing in. Okay. And this is something you slowly build up. I mean, I'm going to rush this in an hour. Just see how it's starting to look like it has more texture, more values. Now we'll come over to this one, add some more in here too. Now this one, I'm actually going to start blending with the tortilla a little bit because I want this one to look a little more textured and this one to look a little smoother. And you're going to notice, look how, do you see how it blends it more, lightens the value a little bit? So I'm going to get in and out, not everywhere. I'm just trying to change the look up. And if any of your erase marks are too dark, you can push pigment in and make them smaller. Okay. Everyone's always afraid to draw. It's so easy and it's so much fun. Now, I'm actually going to flip my work real quick and I'm
Hey,
going to
Kathy,
smooth this.
we have a quick question that I can't answer, and I wanted to see if you could just speak to it really quick. One of the
Sure.
attendees said, how do we make the rounded shape of the pencil tip? And I think it has to do with the sharpening, but I wanted to see if you could speak to that.
Oh my God, that is such a great question. I'm actually going to grab one that's sharp. Da, 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 da. Or actually, it's a perfect time to talk about a sharpener. Two things make a good sharpener: the angle of the blade and the type of the blade. This little General's all art sharpener doesn't look like anything fancy. This thing just takes a licking and keeps on ticking. It will sharpen your pencils forever. Look how little I had to sharpen to get a point. The angle of the blade will expose just this much pigment because you don't need long exposed areas of pigment. Basically, it ends up always a sharp tip. And second of all, it's easier to break if you're applying a lot of pressure. So what you do is, let me move this real quick, is you just start drawing with it and spinning it all around. Spin it all around. And that's actually a good thing to do if you're going to be working, blocking in large areas, working for long, extended periods of time. If you keep it in one position, you're going to end up flattening one end and having it rounded on the other. So I like to spin mine when I'm working with them, and I'm just kind of wearing down that sharp tip. And by spinning it, I'm going to end up with a round tip. See how that's round now? Not that sharp, sharp point. Is that helpful? Yes, no, maybe so.
And then the second question was, how did you create the rounded tree shape? I'll try not to butt in anymore, but a lot of great questions in the chat.
Shape. Okay. No, these are great questions. I started with my rectangle. Well, see, it would be a solid rectangle if I had my hand up close where I had control of it. So you basically start with that, and then you erase the areas you don't need. And really what's going to make this have form then, first of all, the outer edge is going to be a little softer than the rest of it. And it's all these values that we are adding to it that's starting to give it shape, the different values. Does that make sense? As I build more values, you're going to even see it build more, okay? Now I'm going to rush this again. Now I'm going to hop up to my real dark one, and you'll start seeing even more. Can you see how this is starting to even have more form, the more values I'm creating? Yes, no, maybe so in the chat.
We have yeses and very helpful. So,
you know, there is no such thing as a stupid question. I'm loving all these questions that we're getting. And see, this is why you have more than one pencil. See how they're each applying additional values? See how that's starting to look more like a textured tree? Now I'm going to stop about here on both of them, because as you add more elements and develop more, you're going to see that the look totally changes when we start getting all these other soft values and textures in there too. And notice I didn't do the limbs right away, because as I develop this, I might say, I want more limbs. I might say, I really don't. If I, if you put them in right away, you're committed to it. If you wait, then you have more options. And I normally would even do these 3 steps that I've shown you, probably each one of them a second time. I'm just trying to relay the information and try to get all areas of this done. Now, the additional thing I added on this one was then I went to the hand position. And actually I need to sharpen this because it's so round, the lines are going to be wider than I want them. Look how quick I got that sharp tip back. Can you all see that? And then I go more to my hand position. Now, I don't want them super, super dark. I want you to be able to detect them. Well, look what would happen if I made it too dark. I jumped values too fast, and that area actually flattened. You see how this didn't flatten it, but I made them visible? Yes, no, maybe so. If you jump values too quickly, it flattens the work or it draws the eye just to that one area. We weren't trying to make them that dark. Okay, see how both of these look slightly different? Now, because the birch tree is very, very light, I'm not working with the HB pencil like I started the other 2 with. Where did I put my pencils? There they are.
Okay,
I'm going to
Kathy,
the 2H. Yes.
sorry. Really quick, 2 questions. While everyone's finding their 2H pencil, what paper are you using? And somebody has requested to show if you could please show how to add a knot into the tree, or maybe that's coming later.
That's coming later.
Okay.
All right. So now right off the bat, because this tree is very, very soft, I'm going to take my tortilla, and you could take your finger, but this really shows it so well. I need to, even though a birch tree is white, it does need to have several very, very soft values. Now I want you to notice what I did. I went right on the line. Do you see how I skipped that and then came back here again? Because I don't want a solid line all the way across the bottom of this, because again, it's going to flatten it. You still see that there's a tree. I like to turn my work, especially when I am wanting to bring pigment into an area. See that tortillian's picking up the pigment and just giving me some nice soft values. So can you see how I establish a little bit of form in this just by bringing those real light values in? Okay, now for a birch tree, we're going to be working horizontal, not vertical like we did for the other trees, because they have all that birch that is peeling off of it. So again, working with that 2H, I always flag my 2H with a little piece of tape so I don't accidentally pick up a 2B, because it would make way too long a dark of a mark. Can you kind of see how I'm just scruffing in a few lines? Is it showing up? And these lines have to be light because they're a darker value than the previous value, which was so light. I love doing birch trees. Now this time I'm going to smush with my finger because I do want a little more value in there. Then I would switch over to the HB and lightly try to build off of some of that. The secret is don't jump. Remember, I jumped too quick from here to here. Boom. But it was a gradual transition up there. So we're almost working white on white. So we have to have very gradual transitions. And as I build this up more, I might add more. I'm going to turn around and take my tri-tip eraser, make sure it's clean because I want to subtract, not add. And I'm going to bring some light lines, white lines in too. Make it a little lighter up there. Take my little brush. Did those Are they showing up those little white lines? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes, and Kathy, we are getting tons of questions about your paper.
Oh, I forgot about the paper. Okay. There's sketching paper and there's drawing paper. You really want drawing paper when you're going to do your final work. There's nothing wrong with sketching paper. It's just a lighter weight for practicing. This particular one, I am working with the Canson drawing that is 80 pounds. But the pieces that I actually, my demo pieces, this was only 70-pound drawing paper. So I always say a minimum of 70 pounds. It's 50, 60, 70. It goes all the way up to 111 pounds. Some papers are smooth on both sides. Some are smooth on one side and texture on the other side. This particular drawing paper I'm working with is a little more textured on the back side. Let me pull the back. And all it's going to do is grab it a little faster and quicker. And it's going to show a little more texture when you blend. If the birch tree wasn't in this, I probably would have worked on the more textured side. So play around with your papers. And, you know, there's different brands out there. You might find some papers just suck the pigment in right away, and no matter how much you're trying to blend them out or extract, it just grabs part of it. I don't like that kind of paper. I prefer the paper that gives me the most options. I can make it look textured with additional techniques, or I can, you know, extract very effortlessly. So yes, play around with papers. And, you know, play around because it's only paper. If we were drawing or if we had a canvas, it's a much larger investment. You get a whole pad of paper, 30, 50, 60 pages. So don't be afraid to experiment. This is what I was going to show you about more ways. There's all these kind of ways to make textures. Okay. First tree, we were going for multiple values. The back tree, we put pencil markings in, but we're going to be doing these type of ones on the birch tree. Okay. So I literally can draw with my HB again. I'm going to make this one darker. They did need to build up a little more, but smaller amounts. Notice not all in the same space, different sizes and lengths. And I'm going to run my tortillon. And if it's giving you more than you want because you have a dirty one, I always have clean, semi-dirty, and super dirty. Now I'm pulling it away from, first I blend this way, and then I'm pulling it away from it. I want more of this to come out here. Okay. Birch trees have all kinds of funky knots. I'm trying to figure out what the heck in a few areas. Not making some real smooth, some we want very smooth, some we're just trying to pull lines out of, trying to make each one of them look slightly different. See how that's giving us more value? And then this is really kind of cool. Sanding paddle. If you don't have one, you can use an emery board. And I'll probably take my HB and I'm going to put a little pigment down there. Now, sadly, that's what's going to happen. So I have to embed it. So a way I found to embed it is I take a spoon, lay it stationary, rock it back and forth. See how I push those pigments into the paper? So I'm going to do that in a few areas because you always have some of those in a birch tree. Now, I didn't move it, but now I'm going to go this way too. And see how it kind of smeared it a little bit more where those are a little more stationary. Again, I always try to approach anything I'm doing more than one way to make it look more interesting. Now, less is more. I might want to come back and put more in later. I'm going to turn around and start doing some of this soft background. Again, this, yeah, I'll take the HB. And then, because this will give me some soft values right off the bat, I'm going to take a dirty cotton ball. Because a clean cotton ball, well, I'll show you. Clean cotton ball is going to absorb almost all of it. Didn't leave me much to work with. Then I'm going to pull it out even further. Okay. Just gives me a little bit of a base. Whereas the dirty cotton ball, you'll see, and put this in smaller area. See how it deposited more? No, it didn't. I grabbed my clean one, silly me. But it still deposited more because it was a second layer. A little bit there, a little bit there, and a little bit there. And then I kind of pull it up. See how that just gave it that soft little base that I can further work with? Now I can take any of my erasers. We'll go with the tri-tip again. Erase off the dirty. So I got a clean one. Watch how this, I'm starting to make it look like we got a few bushes back there or whatever. Moving it all different directions. See how that's starting to build up value? Now, and I will take my gum eraser, which I broke because I wanted smaller shapes for rocks. And this one is going to give a little bit of a different pattern. See what I mean about switching things up? I'll take my ES20 for this one. In partial areas. So I automatically built a base right now. Now this one, this area really doesn't have enough. So I could grate more, cotton ball more. But I want to show you this too. A dirty tortillon will add a little bit of pigment in an area. If you're looking for a lighter mark than the pencil would have laid off. And that one, actually, I'm going to leave it because those look like they're more straight up and down. So then I'm going to take this soft, and I've got almost a blunt tip here, and I think it's going to work for this. And if you do more erratic, kind of circular motions, it's going to give you the impression of just some loose foliage. Okay. We're just building. You build off of a base. Now I'm going to smush. So you barely see those lines, but we've created more value in here. And because my finger is so dirty, it actually almost filled in the white areas. I'm switching fingers here. So then you just come back if you've lost too many of those white areas you wanted and bring back. You cannot go wrong with any of General's erasers. Self-cleaning, none of them will ever, if you are working with something abrasive, the surface integrity will get compromised. And what I mean by that is there's a thin coating on the paper, and if you abrase it, when you come back to try to put additional marks over it, it's going to grab. And I'm going to show you what I mean.
Hey, Kathy, you're doing a great job. I just wanted to say we're at the midpoint. So keep going. You're doing great.
Okay, we brought a few more in there. Now I'm going to go up to the 2B and make some more erratic ones. Never filling in all the previous ones. We want lights, mediums, and darks showing at all times here. I hope this is showing up. Is all this kind of showing up in the film? Yes, no, maybe so.
We are seeing it all very clear.
Excellent.
Someone asks, where is the light coming from in your picture? How are you making the shadows and shading look right? We're getting a few technical questions here.
Actually, for this one, it's almost straight on. It's I don't have a light source coming from either side. What you know, boy, okay, someone knows how to draw. They want to start getting into all that. What the basic goal of today was to show you values create form, you know, how to slowly build up values to create texture or softness, things like that. So, I mean, if I switch this going this way because of my bent tree, then we would see more light here and more light up here, okay, on this side. Now, again, not building up more. Well, I could. All right, we're going to come in with now that 555 and try to even start little, almost like, you know, very erratic building up to make it just look like there's all kinds of, I was off, all kinds of little leaves and things. See how then you build that up and you would continue that in all those. We're going to head on down to the rocks for starters. Gonna take my HB for this one. And again, not filling that whole thing in. Are you guys finding this helpful and interesting? Oh, maybe so.
Yes, people are saying yes,
Oh.
yes. Oh my gosh, about 10 people just said yes, yes, yes. Very helpful. Keep going, Kathy. You're doing great.
And again, notice I even tried to get values down here right off the bat. Less extracting you've got to do then. But I will probably put more in another area. Hop to the 2B, which is a little darker. You know, even someone who's just first learning to draw, if you have control of your values, your work is going to look so much better. It really is. Now I'm kind of pressing down. Or see, if I use my finger, I'm going to get rid of those. See the difference why I didn't use my finger? In the ground, I didn't want all this heavy texture. So it's learning what blending tool to use. You can use paper towels, you can use chamois, you can use cotton balls, you can use your finger. Really, really cheap paper towels. You know, there's all different things. That you can use. Now, I could have drawn all the rocks, but they tend to be stiff. I love playing around with my erasers. So this is my gum eraser that I broke. Actually, when I did this, it doesn't work for this design, but I had to try it just to see. Look at the mark that it extracted right there. Isn't that kind of cool? If you were looking for something that was old and broken. All right, well, what the heck? I'll do one right here with that. Look at that mark it made. Working off of this side. Look at that one it made. Your ES20. Look at the mark this one's going to make. See how they're all slightly different in values? I love that right off the bat. Look at the values I have in there to work with. A kneaded eraser. Where did you run off to? Where? Here he is. What I love about a kneaded eraser is I can turn it into any shape I want. It's going to extract even more. I'll make a liar out of me because it was really dirty. So if I want to extract more, I got to turn around and make a new shape with it. And I'm making them come from all different directions. Where's my little one? Okay. So there's my rocks for starters. Okay, then I'm going to come back in with my HB and start turning them into something. So this rock, oh, gotta sharpen this little guy. So this one's kind of put some there. On this one, where are you coming from? Here we go. Kind of where's the shape? Where's the open space behind it? Okay. If you don't like something, bring that dirty tortillon in and change the shape of it or pull more out. I swear my kneaded eraser head, here it is, grew legs because I am not seeing this guy anywhere. Okay, I like when they come funky like that. Take the dirty tortillon. If a shape just is not working for you, turn it into a shape that you do like. See how you can start to create the shapes of things? You gotta work with these values too, and then we're gonna even make things lighter. Make this one look like this. There's a side on it. Rocks can be hard for people. They really, really can. Okay. But I just wanted to be able to play around with y'all, show you different kinds of drawing options. See, now I can change the shapes of some of these. Some I end up liking, some I really got to work with a lot. I'm like, oh, that's all part of the process too. Are you kind of getting an idea? Yes, no, maybe so.
Someone said, I love this. Fantastic. Will more classes be offered? Yes, we will get in touch with Michaels to offer more of these. Thank you for all the great feedback.
Well, and it's funny when Julia teaches one, we all approach drawing different. So make sure you tune into Julia's class as well. We all have our own individual tips and tricks. I could watch Julia forever and ever and ever. She has so many great ideas too. All right, now I'm going to come in with I love my BM2 eraser. This eraser just lasts forever and ever and ever. But when you do end up using one of the eraser, there are refills available too. Okay, larger investment, minimal, and it is well worth it. What I love about this, first of all, it's got a rounder diameter than I want right now. So when I want to get it skinnier, I put my finger on one tip and then I flip it and do the other. And now I have this real tiny little line, because in some of these, we are wanting to bring more highlights in an area. and it will effortlessly extract only where you want it to, which is so cool. Do you see how I'm bringing more values in my rocks just by erasing a little bit more in certain areas? And you see how they're building up?
Hey, Kathy, real quick, there's a question here about what is the best way to fix it if you jump too dark too quickly? And I feel like you have an eraser that's perfect for lifting up things like that.
Yes. First thing, well, we could do several depending, like I'm going to make this super, super skinny and see if that, well, that's going to bend right over on me. Sometimes that will lift them, but see that lifted the value around and not necessarily the line. So I'm coming in lightly with my kneaded or my BM2 pen eraser to lighten them. And
Can you
then
show the eraser on the camera just so they get it? Some people have asked about it a couple times.
the BM2,
Yep, just hold it so people can see it.
Factis BM2. Okay. So now I did manage to lighten them, but sadly, it took all the values. So I could come back with my pencil, draw those values again. But what I always do for starters is I see how much will a dirty tortillon fill in. Oh, wasn't enough. Okay, but you don't know till you try. So then I'm going to come back with that 2B because that is the pigment that was in that area. All right, now that I have some rocks established in a few areas, note that's when I can reevaluate this and say, okay, obviously these trees have to be darker at the trunk area where they meet up with these. See how that set them in more right off the bat? And even that birch tree, but for it, I am only going to use a dirty tortillon. See how those additional values are now setting objects in? Now that's too close in value. So I have got to make my rock that's right there lighter in value than the tree. And then again, start bringing it back, softening it wherever you want it softened. That doesn't distinguish it enough, so you know right off the bat, wow, I need some darker, darker, dark. See how now that's popping it more? It's all about values, guys. It's all about values. But the previous values are all showing as well. The rocks could take me forever to get them just the way I want them, but can you see how I'm building once I get it where I really want it? Even adding that little more dark, just in that one small area, is bringing that more dimensional. Yes, no, maybe so. Little feedback, please.
We have a question if we could, instead of rocks, could there be a different subject matter in the front? Any ideas like grasses or shrubs?
All right, once you get them all done, you would be putting some grasses in. And remember in the very beginning, I showed you all the different lines. If you make all the grasses the exact same value, they're going to be a little more flatter. Then do you see if some of them you approach with different degrees, which is what I like to do. I'm going to start out with my 2H. See how soft these guys are? Yes, no, maybe so.
We did get a comment, loving the rocks.
Yeah, rocks take a while to build up. I'm going to try, if we have enough time, to even show you a few of those limbs. Or would you rather see the rocks finished? It's up to you guys.
If we get a few answers, I'll let you know, Kathy.
So we're gonna start out with a few soft ones.
Oh, we're doing overwhelming limbs, please.
Okay,
Also,
watch.
I wanted to say, you're in the last quarter here, Kathy. You're doing great, though.
Okay, now do you see how they look different already? Just by putting that other one? See how they're starting to build? Yes, no, maybe so. And make them different widths, lengths. See how we build in values. And it makes it much more interesting to look at, doesn't it? All right, so now I'm going to go to my lightest pencil as I'm trying to figure out where do I want to put these limbs? Where? Okay, so maybe we have one. Okay, a limb, they don't go straight out, okay? In nature, they sort of come out like that. See the difference? Okay, so let's say I want one coming out here. Da, 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 da.
Kathy, while you're doing just to put this in your head, if you get through the limbs quickly, some people didn't want to see the rocks finished. So if you have time at the last couple minutes to just show a finished rock, then great, but keep doing what you're doing.
All right, well, we'll just do the one because it's the same here. First, get your design and then obviously take out the area that you don't need. That doesn't bother me. See, I really over exaggerated that and over embedded it, but I'm going to make that work in my favor somehow. First of all, I'll rouge that out a little bit, break it up a little bit. I'm going to start with the dirty tortillon only because we've got a birch tree. And again, all those lines are not being taken away. Can you see how I'm bringing that out to make it look like there is okay? Then I'm going to come back in with that HB maybe here. Now, normally you would not have done the grading until you had it all done, because I might kind of smushy that up a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it. You know, we're all about giving you the idea. So you have to build up around it on both sides. And we also have to bring a little bit over here too. And these sort of, now, if it's fall, they're all sort of just going to meet like that, okay? If it was spring or summer, you have several options, which let me get a little more of this developed and then I will show you that. I'm going to, only because this is such a small area, I am working more with tortillon than my finger or something, okay? Now I'm even bringing those lines out a little bit because we want some distinct and we want some of them to be more diffused. Okay. Maybe even bring a little bit of that texture up into the branch. That's how I took away from those lines that were in there. Okay. Maybe I'll do HB on this side. Now, if we wanted this to really look like it was coming out that way, then you would just make that mark there. Values are what create everything. Now, because this was so dirty, I now have to bring some of that in too, to make sure it's not jumping too quickly, which means I would have to add a little bit more down here. You got to evaluate the whole. Make sure every mark that you have created, you see it in more at a minimum of 3 places. Bring some in on the other side, because he's looking way too light here now. Flip it. Some people don't flip. I like to flip. This is a real good example of, remember I said I stopped until I added more things, and then you'll know. Now, because I added more there, I really should add more in some of these areas too that I've built up. Every time you change one thing, you're taking a chance you're going to have to change many more. Have you guys found this helpful to try to do this on your own? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yes, 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 yes. Awesome. And you've got 8 minutes. A lot of wonderful comments. They're loving this. New to drawing, loving it. So keep doing what you're doing. Wrapping it up.
Yeah, okay. Well, then we're gonna, can you kind of get the idea? If you want more rocks, I'm gonna stop with this one limb here. But you kind of see how it's, how you build them up. If you don't like it, let's say, don't like that. What do you think erasers are for? Switch that shape, bring that up smaller. So, you know, that's the beauty of erasers. And I wanted to stress the fact there's a reason why there's more than one eraser out there, is different erasers give different effects. And you can tell by utilizing them all in something. I have different values by subtracting as well as by adding. Okay. Now, if you wanted leaves on this, there you could do all these fun little scruffies. You could turn around with a different tortillon for your first values and then lift out. You could grate some pigment, swish it around to even get different values and start moving things out. It's giving that illusion. These leaves you would make soft, give the illusion, because this is so soft. If this was really tight, detailed, more values, darker values, they would have to also go up into those tree limbs as well. Okay. So, all right, we want to develop these a little more. Because I used all different erasers, and again, why did I use so many different ones? They all are slightly different in value. Makes it much more interesting. Take some of those hard edges off, unless you so choose to have one. This one right here, I'm going to turn around, block off that way. He's kind of coming this way. Okay. You're only seeing this side of this one. And that's basically what you're establishing now. Okay. How much am I seeing of each rock? Okay. Maybe this one's going to go up like that and like that. Just a little bit down there. Some of these, it's coming at you straight down. You're only going to see that part of it, maybe a little there. You got to define your shape. This one, you're only seeing this little bit here and here, because this one comes over here. So it's only going to be super dark right there. Gotta sharpen. I was braiding my pencil too much. How many more minutes, guys?
We've got 5 minutes and we're getting maybe a couple of requests that maybe a follow-up class would just be a 1-hour class on erasers. If anyone else would be interested in that, that'll help us determine if we can set that up. But eraser only 1-hour class.
Oh my gosh, we could do quick clap, fast flower petals. You could easily have a class just on erasers. You guys getting an idea how I'm establishing the shapes now? And then we're just going to come back in underneath them If you decide they're going to be seeing part of the side of something, we have to give it some values too. Okay. So like you're going to see the side of this one. We're going to bring some there. This is all just going to be real dark underneath it then. Get my darker one. See how the grass is going to end up a lot darker once we get those all established underneath it? Can you see how that's starting to come out? Yes, no? This is the only thing I don't like about these kind of classes.
I know. So we're hearing people, any chance they're loving it, but any chance you could, what would you do for a leaf on the birch? I mean, it probably is a whole other hour, but if there's any thoughts you have on that. And everybody wants more classes.
Okay, what we normally do a lot for that is there's all kinds of just movement markings. Laying your hand on the side of the pencil like this. I probably shouldn't have gone with this dark of a pen value right off the bat. You know, all depends if you are truly wanting to go detail, then that is very tedious. Very, very tedious. Let's block some in. Let's pull some out. And you slowly keep building up. See how that's starting to give the illusion of leaves? Yes, no? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
I mean, if you truly wanted tedious, do you realize what you would be doing? Breaking them up then. Only parts peeking out from each other, coming from all directions. But they too would have to have values in them, guys. So, you know, and you can't switch up topics. If this is very loose and suggestive, which was my intention, instead of tight detail everywhere, that is why I was making them more just the illusion of leaves like that. Very, very soft and diffused too. If this is going to be extremely detailed, every single element, we would have tighter, more values, much more labor intensive for realism. Let me show you this. This was more exact for realism. See what I mean by tight with realism? But again, you're still seeing all those values. But I even wanted to show you here in the line work, some of the lines were created with pencil tip, but some of these lines were created by extracting with that BM2. The more approaches to each area within an object is going to give it so much more interest and lean towards realism, even when it's more whimsical. Is that helpful? So that was tight, and this is just soft, loose, and whimsical. Oh, we're right at time, aren't we? I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was just to jumpstart you. Start playing around, be thinking of your values, be thinking of textures. And when I say values, not even just with the pencil, so important to have a variety of pencil degrees as well as erasers, because as you can see, with rocks especially, we created almost all those values just by utilizing different erasers.
Everyone's loving it, and a lot of requests for different types of classes. So we'll follow up when we get those set up.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I so enjoyed my time with you.